The film begins with a news anchor saying that today is not an ordinary day, because the jury will hold a hearing for the dangerous criminal Colin, and based on it they will decide whether he will be granted parole after serving 5 years in prison. We learn that Colin has been convicted of many crimes, including the accidental killing of one of his friends, and that he is the main suspect in 5 cases involving the mysterious disappearance of girls, crimes for which no one has been able to prove any evidence against him. On the other side, we see Colin in a prison transport van. The driver tells him that he is praying the jury will believe him and grant him parole, because he believes everyone deserves a second chance. Colin asks the guard whether he also thinks he deserves a second chance, but the guard replies that he is not interested in his miserable fate and that he is paid to guard him, not to talk to him. Soon, Colin arrives at the hearing and tells the jury that he regrets the mistake he made, that he did not intend to kill his friend, and that everything happened in a moment of rage. He adds that he learned a lot during his imprisonment and has become a good citizen. He even teaches inmates how to read and write. However, one of the jurors clearly does not believe him, describing him as a violent narcissist obsessed with control who killed his friend simply because he imagined that the friend was looking at his girlfriend. The juror explains that narcissistic people do not show their violence at first. They are good at acting calm and harmless, but turn cruel and aggressive the moment something displeases them, and they are capable of committing any crime. For that reason, he believes Colin is extremely dangerous and should not be released, especially since he is implicated in the disappearance of 5 girls. Colin then becomes angry and his true personality emerges, revealing that he really is a violent narcissist. As a result, the jury refuses to grant him parole. Afterward, Colin is transported again in the prison van and decides to escape. He pretends to be bleeding, and when the guard approaches to check on him, Colin attacks him, takes his gun, and kills both the guard and the driver, managing to flee. Meanwhile, we are introduced to Terry, a mother of 2 who suffers from her husband Jeffrey's neglect. We learn that Terry used to be a skilled lawyer but quit her job to take care of her children, while her husband does not help her and places all the responsibility on her, constantly preoccupied with work. Her friend Meg then arrives. She happened to be passing by while exercising and noticed that Terry looked upset. Meg suggests that Terry take a vacation with Jeffrey and leave the children with her as a change of pace. A little later, Jeffrey comes home, and Terry goes to talk to him and proposes that they go on a trip together, but he refuses, claiming that he has to visit his father because it is his birthday and he cannot miss it. It is clear that he is avoiding her and does not want to spend time with her. Elsewhere, we see Colin stalking a woman, following her until she enters her house and then going in after her. We learn that her name is Alex and that she is his ex-girlfriend. She panics as soon as she sees him and realizes that he has escaped from prison. Colin begins justifying what he did, saying that on the day of the incident he could not stand his friend looking at her and that what happened was only a fit of rage. He promises to be calmer and tells her that he knows someone who can make them fake passports so they can travel freely to Europe. But Alex tells him she does not want to travel with him. Colin becomes furious, says his suspicions were right and that she is cheating on him, and asks whether the man she was talking to in the cafe is her lover. Alex grows nervous and insists she is not involved with anyone. Colin accuses her of lying, tells her that he found the love messages between her and her boyfriend, and screams that she did not even think about opening the messages he sent her. Feeling threatened, Alex grabs her phone and runs upstairs to her bedroom, but Colin chases her. She orders him to leave immediately or she will call the police. His anger increases, but he pretends to cry and says that he has forgiven her. She feels sorry for him, approaches him, and hugs him. Suddenly he attacks her, tells her she will pay for betraying him, and kills her in cold blood. After that, he steals a car and drives while recalling Alex's words and the juror's speech. He loses focus and gets into an accident near Terry's house. He knocks on her door and says he had an accident because of the storm and asks to make a call from her phone. When she sees that he is injured and bleeding, she agrees. He tells her the crash happened nearby and that his phone battery died, so she gives him her phone and hears him calling a tow truck. She then hears her daughter calling and goes to check on her. When she returns, Colin asks to come inside and wait until the truck arrives. Terry tells him that her husband is not home and that she is alone with her children, apologizes, but then feels sorry for him and decides to let him in. She treats his wound and gives him some of her husband's clothes. He meets her daughter Ryan and they talk. Terry tells him that she met her husband while they were studying at university and that she decided to quit her job as a lawyer, and an expert at dealing with criminals, to focus on her home and children, even though she had been extremely good at solving cases, especially crimes of violence against women. We see that Colin is very self-confident and not bothered by her words. Instead, he keeps talking about his own success to draw her attention. Suddenly, her car alarm goes off. She goes outside to try to stop it but fails, so Colin comes out to help and actually manages to shut it off. He then notices a photo of her husband and asks about him. She says he is on a business trip and asks Colin in return whether he is in a relationship. He replies that he once loved a woman but discovered she was cheating on him just days before their wedding, so he broke up with her. Terry sympathizes with him and starts telling him about her own problems with her husband, how he has begun to neglect her and no longer cares as he used to. Colin takes advantage of the moment and tries to turn her against Jeffrey, saying that he is surely cheating on her. Terry rejects that idea and insists that Jeffrey would never do such a thing. Colin then tries to exploit her vulnerability and move closer to her, but at that moment there is a knock at the door. When she opens it, she is surprised to see Meg, who has come to spend the evening with her since she knows Jeffrey is away. Meg is startled by Colin's presence, and Terry introduces him to her. Meg starts talking to him and asks where he lives. He replies that he stays in a nearby place called River Road. She asks for the exact location and tells him that she works as a real estate agent and almost knows everyone in the area. Colin becomes nervous and refuses to specify where exactly he lives. Suddenly, the kitchen window shatters because of the storm, and Colin rushes to check on Terry and fix it. After that, he keeps looking at Terry with admiration. Meg notices the tension between them and asks whether they have known each other before or if this is their first time meeting. Meg then asks about his cell phone, and he says he left it at home. At that moment, Terry does not realize that he had lied earlier when he claimed his phone battery was dead. Meg continues pressing him about where he lives, but Terry stops her and asks her to stop interrogating him, explaining that Colin discovered his girlfriend's betrayal and is going through a hard time. Terry then begins talking about Meg, saying that they have been friends since their university days and that Meg had always protected her from others. Despite all her good qualities, however, she is suspicious and does not trust people easily. Meanwhile, Terry hears her young son Sam crying and goes upstairs to check on him. At that time, Colin asks Meg where he can smoke, and she tells him he can smoke in the garage. A little later, Meg decides to go out to him in the garage. She begins questioning him about the strange looks he has been giving Terry and tells him that Terry is happy in her marriage and that there is no justification for him looking at her that way when they have only just met. Colin then decides to lie to her and says that he and Terry are already having an affair, claiming that Terry herself called him over because her husband Jeffrey is away. He does not stop there. He also tries to drive a wedge between Meg and Terry by telling her that Terry no longer trusts her and that this is why she did not tell her about their relationship. But Meg does not believe him and calls him disturbed and sick, warning that if he does not leave immediately she will call the police. Enraged, Colin hits her on the head with a shovel and kills her. After that, Terry comes downstairs and asks him about Meg. He tells her that Meg suddenly decided to leave, which surprises Terry. She asks whether something upset her, but he replies that nothing happened and that Meg left on her own. At that moment, Terry notices Meg's umbrella and wonders how she could have gone out into the storm without it, saying she will call her. She is shocked to discover that Colin has cut the phone line and hidden all the knives in the house. Terrified, she realizes he is a criminal. She starts looking for him and finds him playing with her daughter, noticing a gun hidden behind his back. She orders him to leave her daughter's room, and he does. As soon as he steps out, she hits him with a fire extinguisher and knocks him down from the top of the stairs. She then runs to grab her children, but fails to escape. He appears in front of her and orders her to leave the children sleeping and come with him. She tells him that what he is doing will not help because she has already called the police, so he pulls out a gun and threatens her. He then forces her to bring the children and says he will take them somewhere, after which she will have the choice to stay with him willingly. Terrified, Terry hits him on the head again, tries to flee, runs into the study, and calls the police. But Colin comes in and shoves her, so she stabs him with a letter opener. He chases her and keeps firing the gun. Frightened, she tells him that the police are about to arrive, begs him to leave, and promises she will not describe him to the authorities, but he threatens that if she does not come with him immediately he will kill her and her children. Terry is forced to comply, and they all get into the car. There, she sees Meg's body in the garage. On the road, Terry notices a police patrol car and speeds up to attract the officer's attention. He does pull her over, but at that moment Colin grabs Sam and warns Terry that if she does anything wrong in front of the officer, he will kill her son. The officer approaches and asks for her license, then questions Colin about the wound on his head. Colin says he fell while playing with his daughter. Ryan then says she wants to go back home because she misses her father, which makes the officer sense that something is wrong and that Colin is not their father. He asks Terry to step out of the car. She does so, terrified for her children, keeps looking back at the vehicle, and tells the officer that she left her home for her husband and ran away with her lover. The officer notices her tension and how often she glances at the car, asks whether the man with her is threatening her. Terry grows nervous and cannot answer. Suddenly Colin gets out and shoots the officer dead, then tells Terry that the officer died because of her. They continue driving and he takes them to Alex's house. He orders Terry to put the children to sleep in a room and then come back to treat his wounds. Terry is horrified when she sees Alex's corpse and asks why he is doing all this. He replies that Alex deserved to die. Suddenly, Terry's car alarm goes off, so he ties her hands and goes outside to shut it off. While he is gone, Terry tries to free herself and notices Alex's phone suddenly ringing. She answers and is shocked to hear Jeffrey. She discovers that he had been cheating on her with Alex, and asks him to call the police and go to his mistress's house because her lover has kidnapped her and her children. We also learn that when Colin saw Jeffrey's photo, he realized that Jeffrey was Alex's lover and decided to take revenge on him. Terry then ties a bedsheet to the window to make Colin think she has escaped. Indeed, he comes back inside and starts searching for her, while she hides her children in another room. She grabs a knife and stabs him, but he knocks it from her hand. She tells him she knows he is doing all this to get back at Jeffrey, but that she and her children are innocent. At that moment, Ryan enters, frightened, and her mother tells her to take her brother and hide. Terry manages to strike Colin again and knock him down, grabs the gun, and shoots him, but he gets back up and shoves her to the floor. Terry fires several more shots and pushes him so that he falls out the window and dies. Shortly afterward, the police arrive. Jeffrey tries to apologize and tells her that Alex was just a fling and that he loves her, but Terry asks for a divorce, slaps him, and tells him that everything she and her children went through was because of him. Several months later, we see Terry moving into a new house, and we learn that she has returned to work. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel.